Hey guys, Chaz Pippitt from Baseball Rebellion. I'm going to take a second here and break down Mo Vaughn, one of the underrated hitters, I think, of the early to mid 90s. He finished first the MVP voting in 1995, was an All-Star 3 times, and really started to put up some really big numbers in 96, 97, 98. But he was kind of overshadowed by the Sammy Sosas and Mark McGwire's of the world, and a little bit taken for granted. And when I started thinking about who I was going to break down, somebody mentioned Mo Vaughn to me, and I was like, oh, he wasn't that good. But then I looked into him, and I was like, good Lord, he was awesome. But when I was, 15 and watching baseball, and or 18 and watching baseball, and Sosa's hitting 60 every year, and McGwire's hitting 70. I mean, 44 homers just doesn't seem like that much, but in reality, it was crazy. So we're going to look at some of the things Mo Vaughn does that's a little bit unorthodox, and we're going to be able to show you some really cool things about how he moves in his swing, and some of the things he did a little bit differently than a lot of guys do. So we're going to look at Mo Vaughn from the side here. This is my favorite swing that I found of him. And what I think is really interesting, and I'll kind of touch on this here in just a second, he starts extremely bent over in towards home plate, like hinged at the hip here. And because of that, he does some things to compensate for that. So a lot of people will tell you that, to get to the low pitch, you really need to bend at the waist and hinge at the hip. But the problem is that really restricts your ability to turn. So what Mo does, so there's the top of his head right here. What he does is, as he's turning, he's actually going into thoracic extension and trying to stand up taller the whole time. So this is really unorthodox to have such a bent-in stance. And then he realizes to hit this pitch up and elevate it, he's got to stand up in the turn instead of stay so bent in and head over home plate kind of leaned in. You'll notice even for a big guy, he's doing a great job of pivoting through the heel of his front foot, and his back foot is gaining a tremendous amount of ground forward, which is really rare for guys as strong and thick as Mo was. So you can see that his back knee moves forward very well. I'm going to change colors right there. Back knee moves forward very well. He maintains the bend in his back leg pretty well. And then the clip cuts off, so I'm not able to see what he does in his finish here. But we'll be able to show you in the next clip we look at what his finish looked like. But his upper body was just tremendous. He really did a great job of keeping his hands nice and high so that he could have good upward extension of the forearms. You see the forearm still pointed up. A lot of people now, when they go to extension, what will happen is they don't get this great upward extension with the forearm. Their forearm gets very flat, so they'd be taller in their initial stance, and then their back elbow would shoot up in extension. They'd actually extend down. So if this X was their hands, and the bend is obviously the elbow would then go up above the hands, and that never happens for Mo Vaughn. So he's able to stay through this ball just really well. Now Mo, he always struck out a lot. Once he started getting more plate appearances, in 1994, right around there, he started striking out quite a bit, 2 and sometimes 3 times as much as he walked. But for the most part, if you're hitting 300, 310, 326, 315, 337, I don't really think your strikeouts are really that big of an issue. And you can strike out 150 times if you're hitting over 300 and you're hitting 39, 44, 35, 40, 33, 36 homers, which was one of the better, 6-year spans of really anybody's career. I mean, that's a tremendous power hitter with a high average as well. His OPS was over 1,000 one time when he finished 5th in the MVP. That was the year after his MVP voting, MVP year, so that was really cool. Another swing I wanted to show, and I'm going to just move this back over here. Another swing I wanted to show was this one, because it really does a good job of showing how bent over Mo Vaughn really was. And I mean, this is just tremendous how much hip hinge he has. So if we go back hip to his belt and then we go to his spine, I mean, he's bent over tremendously here. And what's really interesting again is you're going to see a lot of the same stuff. So once his head is here, as you can see, he gets his pitch and he's trying as hard as he can to stand up out of that hip hinge position, and he starts to really curve his back so that he's in more of a side bend position. He's standing up, and his back is curving in this way and no longer staying in that hip hinge, and that's why he's able to bring his shoulder all the way through. Okay, but you can see how much he's trying to raise up out of that position. So sometimes, guys have to get in positions, or girls have to get in positions that are a little bit uncomfortable to get them into positions that are successful. Now, Mo was a little bit fooled on this swing, and you'll see that here in just a second. And this ball ended up, up here somewhere. These people are running around trying to get it. But you'll see from the side view, again, he's extremely bent in here. He's a little fooled, so you can see how he gets to a really nice front leg position here. Turns the bat back behind him beautifully. And what you're going to notice is a really nice bat path here in spite of being fooled. And that's something that really stuck out for me when I looked at Mo Vaughn, is just how clean and crisp this bat path is, even when he's fooled, and he's trying as hard as he can to keep his hands above his elbow, which he barely does. But that's something that's very, very underrated, I think, in hitters, is their ability to extend upward through a pitch and support the barrel. So even though he's out in front of this ball and a little bit fooled, he gets to hit it in the second deck because his upper body bat path was so good. And that's a lot set up because he knows that he can stay disciplined. Even when he's out on his front side, he can just hang in there, hang in there, hang in there, hang in there, and then he goes, okay, I'm going to swing at this pitch. Bang. I'm going to make this guy pay. So Mo Vaughn was a really cool hitter. He had a really an interesting persona. He looked extremely tough, extremely menacing at the plate. He swung big and he hit it big. And even though he struck out twice as much as he walked throughout the total of his career, his average season through 162 games was a 293 average, a 383 on base, and a 523 slug, which is a 906 OPS with 35 home runs on average and 114 RBIs. I'll take it. So I want to kind of also take this time to dispel the myth that if you strike out a lot, then you struggle, because if you hit the ball really hard and you strike out a lot, you can still hit over 300. Guys do it every year. So while striking out obviously is not the best thing a hitter could do, and oftentimes it's not the worst either, because if Mo Vaughn, if there's a run on first and he hits a ground ball to second base, it's a double play every time. They'd rather have him strike out on that two-strike pitch, taking another swing that might hit it in the third deck. At least I know I would if I were his coach. But again, really, really nice movement forward for a big man. I was just really surprised at how well he moved forward and how fluidly he turned the barrel upwards, because honestly, I just thought he was just a brute. And that's me being 15, remembering Mo Vaughn and just thinking he had a cool beard and that he's a big dude. And now I look at him and I'm like, wow, this is a guy that I'm going to spend a lot more time looking at, because his 6-year stretch where he was really, really good compares very favorably with a lot of the power hitters today. Stanton's had a lot of issues with his batting average this year specifically, and Mo Vaughn never had those issues and put up similar power numbers and similar RBI numbers. So, maybe there's something here for the power hitters of today to really look at. But once again, I really appreciate you guys listening to the Mo Vaughn breakdown, and thank you so much.